I think that we could all safely say here that Lucasfilm is by far one of the worst divisions at the Walt Disney Company for multiple reasons, and I think the biggest factor here is how Kathleen Kennedy really threw this division of Disney in a vicious cycle, and it had nothing to do, of course, with the marketing or anything related to that as they claim, but it all has to do with the agenda, the message that Kathleen Kennedy doubled down on that was greenlit and approved by Bob Iger. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. They announce titles, they cancel titles, they go into limbo mode. Kathleen Kennedy absolutely will never admit that they shelve projects. She got very defensive, by the way, almost a year ago when she's like, we don't shelve projects, there's no such thing, we just keep them on the back burner. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, the Acolyte series. I know I've said this many times, I'll say it once more. This is the very first Star Wars show under Disney, of course, that really got ratioed across every single piece of social media. No matter where you go, it is universally rejected. Now, there's a main reason behind that, is that the agenda by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy has been so clear beyond any other Star Wars projects by Disney to the maximum that even regular casual fans, even non-fans, are seeing through the nonsense. That's why it is so universally rejected at this point. That's why I like to call it the Acolyte, because Leslye Headland, the director and showrunner of this thing, looked up to Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi as true inspiration to make this thing. And we all know what The Last Jedi was all about, right? So focusing on everything related to Bob Iger and his damage control over the Acolyte series only gets worse, and it's not helping the situation at all. Now, with Disney CEO Bob Iger actively involved in damage control over the current status of one of their most failed divisions, Lucasfilm, one major development now has to do with the Acolyte series, where Bob Iger delivered the following about the ongoing backlash related to the show. As CEO, it is my responsibility to remain transparent with both of our shareholders and customers alike. Regarding our latest Star Wars feature, The Acolyte on Disney+, we are proud to announce that this will be our greatest production for supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, aka DEI, by the way, guys. Iger continues. It has, however, ultimately come to our attention that a certain margin of our core customer base remains opposed to our support for our upcoming Star Wars series on Disney+. What we find to be reckless and irresponsible behavior from the same margin of our customer base that we find to be the minority after careful research are those that have created a narrative that our latest Star Wars installment holds a level of an agenda and engages in a culture war. I cannot stress this enough, that this is not what the Walt Disney Company is about and never will be. I was proud to have careful conversations about this with Kathleen Kennedy, who has done nothing but great work on the series, and we both came to an agreement that this was something needed to be addressed. Our support for DEI has nothing to do with an agenda in our upcoming Acolyte series that we believe will truly resonate with loyal fans and new fans alike. However, our number one goal with this series was to focus on a strategy that we hope to be successful with by using DEI to reach a wider, more global audience, to widen our core customer base over time for the Star Wars brand, as we hope to expand that brand in different ways, both on Disney Plus and in the theaters, that will cater to different groups, communities, and those that hold certain beliefs. I see the term woke and agenda getting thrown around a lot nowadays, and how this loud part of our customer base claims that this is some kind of a narrative. I don't even think they know what those words truly mean. If you mean we support diversity, equity, and inclusion, then that is our goal right now in the industry, to shift away from that stigma in both film and television. The Acolyte, we believe, will be one of our most successful and bold projects related to Star Wars since 2017's The Last Jedi. Again, however, we found the reckless behavior coming from a small margin of our customers as not only irresponsible but also damaging to our Star Wars property, that we ask thoroughly right now to let the product speak for itself. Now guys, let me just continue on here. There is no saving Star Wars. I've pointed this out many times. As long as you got Kathleen Kennedy there, as long as you got Bob Iger there, and it's not even just a matter of that, if Disney just has a grasp on Star Wars, there's really no turning things around. And even if they had the opportunity to turn things around, you know how many years it would take to convince the hardcore fans to really believe that it would stay that way on a consistent level? It would take at least 5 years, and that's really being very nice. So what's interesting about this is that the Acolyte series is dead in the water. There's no doubt about it. You know, I know that some fans out there are going to be like, well, this didn't even release yet. Well, at the same exact time, you got to listen to what leslye Headland has been saying, what she has been saying about George. And a lot of people like to view Dave Filoni as the savior of Star Wars, quote-unquote. I've been pointing this out many, many times. Sure, he has had his fair share of doing some cool things in Star Wars, like, for example, incorporating Luke in the Book of Boba Fett, but let's not be lying about anything here. He sides with leslye Headland. This man loves leslye Headland's work on the Acolyte. He loves what she's all about, what she supports, what she's trying to represent, focusing on the agenda over the story, ideology over art, whatever have you. Dave Filoni, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people have been calling him Dave Baloney, because he just falls into that narrative as well. He may have done a good job, you know, doing some things here and there, you know, little kind of sprinkles in Star Wars here and there, but the fact that he sides with leslye, it's not a good thing, alright? That's just my overall perspective on things. But overall, moving onwards, Iger goes on to continue, if you are opposed to DEI, I think this signals a bigger problem in our industry and what we aim to make the standard in both film and television. We ask everyone to not fall into the false narrative that our support for DEI is about some kind of culture war or agenda. We are not about that. We are about respecting Walt's legacy of creating pure entertainment for both our shareholders and customers, as it goes both ways on a business level and on a satisfaction level with the loyal fans. We are hopeful to incorporate these strategies further into the Star Wars world over the next few years in an attempt to make this work for everyone. Alright, lie number 1. Already caught by Bob Iger. He claims that it's all about respecting Walt's legacy. Look, Walt's legacy was about literally creating pure entertainment, not agenda-driven nonsense, and that's exactly what Disney is doing here with the Acolyte, with everything coming out of Marvel in 2025 and 2026, and also what they're doing with the Disney live-action remakes. I mean, have we forgotten about Snow White 2025? Thankfully, the sequels to that movie were canceled. They wanted to make a trilogy out of it. We talked about this days ago. That's a start, I guess, but it's going nowhere. And we all saw what happened with Tinkerbell and the Little Mermaid, and they're obsessed with the concept of race swapping and gender swapping in different areas of entertainment, whether it's live action or animated material, doesn't matter. Bob Iger will forever be known as Bob Liger because he does nothing but lie to the customers, to people that have walked away from Disney, and even to the shareholders. So it really goes all directions there. But I would love to hear what everyone has to say about everything going on over at Lucasfilm with the Acolyte and everything else with leslye Headland. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.